Whoa. Here we go, folks. Welcome in to this live edition of Kansas City Chiefs Report. Tyler Jones here with you. I didn't even get counted in, so came a little surprised to see you all. But appreciate you joining us here on this live show as we get plenty to discuss from the NFL Draft Combine, as we will hear from Chiefs head coach Andy Reid. We'll also hear from GM Brett Veach, what they had to say as they touched on everything from Travis Kelce to Trey Smith. Also, first comment since the Super Bowl of where this team exactly goes from here. We'll go over all of that coming up in just a bit. Also, according to a new report, the Chiefs are interested in DK Metcalf. We will discuss a trade for the Seattle Seahawks wide receiver coming up in just a little while from right now in our second segment of today's show. And then before we get out of here, we will do a Q&A Rumors mailbag. You got questions, I got answers. We'll react to it all coming up at the end of the program. Make sure to use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat to get on the mailbag part of today's show. As you guys file in, shout out your city. We'll shout you out as we get this show off and rolling. We're coming at you from the Chat Sports Studios here in downtown Dallas, Texas on this fine Tuesday afternoon. Glad to be back. I know that we've been kind of hit and miss the last couple of weeks as I enjoyed a couple extra days off last week, and of course we were at the Super Bowl earlier this month and such, but nonetheless we're glad to be here and appreciate you all being here with us. And we are going to try to do our normal time frame in the future, about 4 o'clock Central Time, but we had some crazy stuff today with Combine coverage, but nonetheless, we're glad to be here with you here on today's show. Let us know where you're watching from. I already see Tony Fuentes checking in the chat. Appreciate Tony for being here. He says, Sup Kingdom, finally back. I know Tony's checking in from El Paso, Texas. Good to see you, Tony. Guillermo also says, Chiefs, good to see you, Guillermo. Thanks for being here with us. Much appreciated. Let us know where you guys are watching from as we get this show rocking and rolling today here on this live edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Appreciate you all for being here on this Tuesday afternoon. Who is a player the Chiefs should draft? We got plenty of draft talk today with the NFL Draft Scouting Combine. Brett Veach is there. Andy Reid is there as they look to evaluate what to do with this Kansas City Chiefs team and where they should go from here. And I got to say, I'm glad that both Veach and Andy are both there. It's interesting when you look at teams around the NFL, they don't all bring their head coach and general managers to the scouting combine. So it's good to see that both of them are there and looking at this Chiefs team of what potentially they need to add. As we've heard Brett Veach say within the last couple of weeks, that they are going to use the draft basically as their de facto free agency, that they don't expect to spend a lot of money when it comes to this draft or it comes to free agency like we typically see. So they're going to treat the draft as their way to best equipped to better their roster from this point. So I want to know, who's a player that comes to mind that you would like to see in Kansas City? The Chiefs hold that 31st overall pick. Who would you like to see end up here? Lay in and let us know. Got Tim Johnson checking in from Wichita. Where else you guys at? We're up to a little bit of a slow start. I don't know what's going on, if we got a problem with YouTube or something today, but I'm only seeing just a few people here so far. Maybe we need to wake up the algorithm a bit, let people know we're here. But let us know who you think the Chiefs should draft. Give me a couple names that come to mind that you would like to see end up in Kansas City when it's all said and done. All right, before we officially get this show started, I mentioned we're off to a little bit of a slow start with the algorithm today. I don't know what is going on, but we need to wake people up, let people know we're here. So Tony, Tim, Guillermo, those are the only ones I've seen check in so far. I want you guys to go ahead and start spamming C in the chat right now, and let's wake people up, let them know we're here, that we're doing this live edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report here on this Tuesday. And we'll give some shout-outs and let people know that we are off and rolling here. And whoever spams C the most, over this next minute. You're going to be the early favorite to be the MVP of today's show. Big Tex is here with me. He is on the ones and twos, and he's going to give the shout-outs and get this show popping. I already see Abigail checking in as well. Appreciate that. Thanks for helping us out and getting this show out to the masses here on this Tuesday, and we'll get this thing off and rolling. We got some great stuff ahead today as we'll go all access with Brett Veach and Andy Reid here in just a matter of moments. Big Tex, go ahead, and I already see the audience growing a little bit. Get the shout-outs, and let's have ourselves a day. Here we go. As many C's as we can over this next minute. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Abigail, Tim, Tony, Tim, Tony, Tony, Tony. I see you, Tony. He's always a legend here. Tim, Tony, Tim, Tony. Let's get those C's in there. Get that chat active. Tony, I see you, Tony. Let's go. Don't let Tony be the only one. Don't let us beat you.
There we go. We got some new names now.
Michael, Tim, Tony, Tony, Abigail, Richard, Abigail, Tim, Tony. Keep it up. Abigail, Tony, Abigail, Abigail, Tony, Abigail, Tony, Abigail, Tony, Tony, Abigail, Tim, Abigail, Richard, Tony. There we go. Keep going. Abigail, Tony, Abigail, Tony, Abigail, Abigail, Tony, Tim, Michael, Abigail, Tim. Let's get some new names in there. Let's go. Richard, Michael, Abigail, Tony, Michael. I'm always seeing these people. Let's go.
Let's go about 10 more seconds. Keep going. Let's get some new names.
Tony, Abigail, Tony, Tim, Tony, Tim, Tony, Abigail, Tony, Richard, Tony, Tim, Richard, Tony. Come on, let's go. Finish strong. 5 more seconds. Abigail, Tim, Tony, Abigail, Tim.
Very good.
Good stuff.
Very good. Audience grew a little bit. We still would like to get more people here. I don't know if people were a little slow to get here or what's going on, but maybe we're being shadow banned by YouTube or something. I don't know exactly. But nonetheless, appreciate those of you that are here with us for checking in and taking part in today's show here on this live edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Need some likes to get this show started. We're at 7 right now. This is a weak start. I don't know what the hell is going on, folks. But we need at least, I feel like I'm being very kind when I say this, I need at least 15 likes to start today's show. I see Tony's already hit the like button. Tony says, hi, Tyler. How's it going, my man? Tony, doing well. Doing well. Glad to be here, man. Glad to be here talking Chiefs football and plenty to discuss here on today's show. Let's get to 15 likes. Let me know when you like the video. Type me in the chat when you like the video and get today's show started. And we'll bring you our first segment here in just a moment, our news and rumors. And then we'll talk DK Metcalf, and then we'll do a Q&A rumors mailbag. Tony says he's gotten over the loss. Tony, that was not fun. I still am not too thrilled about what happened on that day, but you move on, and we'll see where things go from here. Billy liked the video. Thank you, Billy. 3 more likes, and then we'll get today's show started. Who else is going to help us out and like today's video so we can get you the latest happenings in your Kansas City Chiefs? Tim liked the video. Thank you, Tim. 3 more, and then we can get this show started. Let me know in the chat when you guys hit that like button. 2 more away, and then we will get things rolling here on this Tuesday afternoon. Tony says, come on, don't make him wait. Tony's got the right idea. Thank you, Tony, for that. Much appreciated. 2 more likes, and then we'll get things started. And glad to be here as we're talking Chiefs football. Abigail liked the video. Thank you, Abigail. Tim liked the video. 1 more, and then we can get things officially started today. So we'll have the latest from the NFL Draft Combine coming up in just a moment. Oliver says if we can get Patrick Mahomes in the chat, we won't talk about it. Hey, Oliver, by all means, if Patrick wants to stop on by and hang out with us, he's more than welcome anytime, man. Oliver, by the way, we do have a mailbag coming up later. Use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat. I want to see Tony in the mailbag. I want to see Billy. I want to see Tim, Abigail, Oliver. I need all of you to start getting in your questions now. Richard, same to you. Hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat to get on the mailbag portion of the show, and we'll answer your questions coming up later on in our final segment. Go ahead and start submitting those questions to us now. That'll make life a lot easier on us if you go ahead and submit those questions. One more like, and then we'll get this show started. In the meantime, let's tell you what's coming up here on today's show. We'll go over the latest news and rumors from the NFL Draft Combine. We'll let you hear from Andy Reid as well as Brett Veach. And then we will talk DK Metcalf. Could he be traded to the Kansas City Chiefs? According to new reports, the Chiefs are interested in bringing in the Seahawks Pro Bowl wide receiver. And then we'll do a Q&A mailbag. Start getting your questions in now using hashtag Chiefs or Super Chatting to get on the mailbag portion of today's show. Appreciate y'all being here with us. Need one more like, and then we will officially get started here on this live edition of the Chiefs Report. Appreciate y'all being here as we're going to have a great time today. I see Richard already liking the video. Tim liked the video as well. Tony's got a question in. He said, I'm glad Travis Kelce is playing another year. I'm not expecting Travis to play as he used to, but I think he's got some juice in the tank. Tony, a very good point when it comes to Travis Kelce. We'll touch on that when we get to the mailbag segment. Be like Tony and get your questions in that mailbag using hashtag Chiefs or Super Chatting. I need one more like. One more like. I'm not asking much. I just asked for 15 to start today's show. Billy, that's a great question, but you didn't use hashtag Chiefs. Use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat, and I'll include that in the mailbag portion of the show in our final segment today. Billy, he says, sorry. No worries, Billy. Just use that hashtag Chiefs, and we'll take care of you. And Oliver, no. You got to have your question there, and it's hashtag Chiefs, not hashtag Chief. Hashtag Chiefs, and your question has to be within the same comment. And then we'll go ahead and answer that question in our final segment. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with our first segment of the day, our news and rumors. Let's react to the latest developments from the NFL Draft Scouting Combine. We'll bring you that, and I'll let you hear from Brett Veach and Andy Reid as we get this show started here on this live edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report, starting right now. We are talking all things NFL Draft Scouting Combine on today's shows. We're going to let you hear from Brett Veach and Andy Reid as they gave some fascinating updates on Travis Kelce and Trey Smith and among others in just a moment. But since we're talking Scouting Combine today, if you want the Chiefs to have a great draft, I need you to like today's video. If we get 500 likes on today's video, that all but guarantees that this is going to be a great draft for the Kansas City Chiefs. Do your part. Smash that like button. Don't jinx it. Don't make me come find you because you didn't like today's video. Hit that like button, and we'll get started with today's show. Glad to have you with us here on this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for stopping by, as it is the first day of the NFL Draft Scouting Combine, and we got the chance to hear from Chiefs head coach Andy Reid as well as general manager Brett Veach, and they had a lot of interesting things to say in regards to this Kansas City Chiefs team, talking about Travis Kelce, Trey Smith, also looking ahead to the draft. We're going to play you some of the highlights of what they had to say and react to it here on today's program. And where we're going to begin today is the latest developments on Travis Kelce. I got some great news for Chiefs fans. If you were listening to this program a couple days ago, we told you about how the most recent report was that all signs pointed to Travis Kelce returning to the Kansas City Chiefs in 2025, that he was leaning that direction, and Chiefs general manager Brett Veach pretty much all but confirmed that today when he was asked about Travis Kelce and his future. Here's what he said.
I'm not sure how Coach answered that. How we left it at the end of the season is that he was fired up. He has one more year under contract. Still think he has that fire and desire to play. And as far as I'm concerned, there is no deadline. I think we left it as he'd be back, and we're excited to get him back and get him going.
Yeah, so I did, and that's up to.
All right, so there you have it from Brett Veach talking about Travis Kelce. And I got to tell you, that is great to hear from the Chiefs general manager, saying pretty much everything except an official announcement at that point that he's looking forward to the return to Kansas City for Travis Kelce, and that the excitement, the energy is really there for Travis Kelce to make that return and play a pivotal role in this Kansas City Chiefs team. And, Brett Veach shown a lot of confidence there. We also heard from Andy Reid. Andy Reid didn't quite say the same thing that Brett Veach did. He was more along the lines of, we're excited for him. We're letting him enjoy the offseason, relax a little bit. But you could kind of tell with what Andy was going at that he was feeling very similar to Brett Veach, but more so kind of hands-off of letting Travis figure his thing out in his situation. Here's more what Andy Reid had to say in regards to Travis Kelce.
So I did, and that's up to Travis. At this point, you get out of town and relax. That's kind of my motto for these guys. They played a lot of games and a lot of for a consistent amount of seasons here, and so you get to the end of the thing, you've exhausted yourself mentally and physically. Step back and take care of that. Then we'll talk. So, but for right now, I think that's what he's doing. And he and I will get together. Now, listen, I had exit meetings with all the guys, so before they left. So we did have a chance to talk to answer your initial question.
Coach, your team continued.
Yeah, so I did.
So there's a couple of things to keep in mind when it comes to Travis Kelce making his return that I would want to watch for here. Number one is that I think that Travis, this is a bit of a negotiation of sorts, that he would like to get paid and taken care of financially, as he only has one more year remaining on his contract. So I think that they still have to work out the financials, but all signs point to that he wants to be there and the Chiefs want him there. So I think they'll work that out. Number two, I think his role is going to be a bit different this go round with the Kansas City Chiefs, where he is not going to be the primary threat of this Chiefs offense. You can no longer run the Chiefs passing attack through Travis Kelce. I think Travis Kelce can have a big impact, but he's got to be another one of the guys. He can't be the primary target just because he's not the same player he once was. He's still very good, but he has lost his step. I think you're going to need to see more from Xavier Worthy, more from Rashee Rice, and whoever else is in that receiving core, which we'll have answers to coming up pretty soon. Are you excited about Travis Kelce's return to Kansas City that we're all anticipating here? Weigh in or a pin comment today. Type HY for hell yes. Type HN for hell no. Weigh in the comment section and let us know what you think. The Chiefs Report is bringing you exclusive coverage from the NFL Draft Scouting Combine. We got a team in Indianapolis this week as we are talking to your favorite players and that are entering the draft. We also have content from GMs and coaches and any news that breaks, any great sound bites, whatever it may be. We are going to cover it all right here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Subscribe now. Turn on notifications. Lock us in. We got you covered here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report, youtube.com/ChiefsTV. Up next, let's talk about Trey Smith and his situation with the Kansas City Chiefs. Trey Smith, he is a guy that is headed towards free agency, and all signs point to that it seems highly unlikely that Trey Smith is going to return to the Kansas City Chiefs, just with the lack of money that the Chiefs have and how much that Trey Smith is expected to command, upwards of $22+ million this season. But that isn't stopping Brett Veach from at least putting an effort to try to bring Trey Smith back. This is something that they've been working on for months, dating back to before last season even began. Brett Veach gave this update on Trey Smith and said the following.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously at the top of the list, and we've already had some good dialogue with him and with CAA and Torrey and Jimmy and his crew. So obviously a lot to work through, but I mean, this is the time of the year to do that. And again, we've already had some initial dialogue, and that will continue on this week and in the days to come leading up before free agency. So we'll certainly do what we can and feel, pretty optimistic about our possibilities there.
All right, there you have it from Brett Veach on Trey Smith. Do I think Trey Smith is returning to Kansas City? I don't think so. You know, it's going to take a lot. You have to move quite a bit of money around in order to make it happen. But it's not a lack of trying. It's not a lack of effort. And the franchise tag just doesn't make financial sense for Kansas City to potentially do. So we'll see how it all ultimately unfolds. I'd like to see him back, but it doesn't seem like things are headed that direction. With a new season here in 2025, the Chiefs came up short, of course, in the Super Bowl to the Philadelphia Eagles. And what you wonder sometimes is there a hangover of sorts? How can you kind of push past of just how difficult that was? And how quickly can you reset and move on to be where you want to be as a football team? And Chiefs head coach Andy Reid said basically that, hey, that was a bad day to have a bad day, but they have already turned their attention towards 2025. Here's more from Andy Reid.
It was a bad day to have a bad day, for sure. Like all games, you can learn some things from it. It hurts for a few days, and then you move on quickly. So you get about 3 days into it, and you mope around a little bit, and then all of a sudden you're on to free agency, and you're doing your thing. Players have left the building and taking a little time off, so they curb it back to the next year, and we're fortunate to have enough nucleus of good players that will be joining us and giving us an opportunity to have a productive 25 season and still compete. Well, again, we didn't play very well in certain areas. Didn't really coach very well. So, and that starts with me. So I'm trying to give the guys an opportunity to be put in the best position. I didn't get that accomplished. And so, you go back and you figure out the whys of that. And then you try to straighten that out and make sure that you can get the guys in the right position to do their thing.
So that's Andy Reid there, and I love that they've already shifted their focus. And you think about the last time the Chiefs lost in the Super Bowl to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then the next year they lost to the Cincinnati Bengals in the AFC Championship game. It can be hard to overcome those things, and they have some serious challenges ahead of them that they need to address this offseason with these team needs and this lack of cap space. Let's see where this team ultimately goes from here, but at least Andy is saying all the right things as far as their mindset goes going forward from here. We got more from Andy Reid coming up in just a moment, but first, folks, we got a great deal we're offering right now. Hats are on sale for up to 50% off. We have all sorts of different Chiefs hats to choose from the flat bill to the baseball cap, and you can see we're showing you a bunch on your screen right now. There's plenty more to choose from besides just these. You can go see for yourself at chatsports.com/Chiefs hats to get yours today, and check out the rest of the Chiefs gear that we're selling for you as well. Chatsports.com/Chiefs hats to get yours today. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. All right, the NFL Scouting Combine going on right now. Where does this Chiefs team exactly go from here? What are they looking for in the players that they are going to add to their roster when that weekend in April gets here? Andy Reid kind of gave us perspective. He's a football guy, an old offensive lineman. He's excited about what's ahead here for this NFL Draft Combine this week. Here's more from Andy Reid.
Yeah, most of all, just having a chance to meet the player. And then there's some things that, like baseball, that you try to keep consistent, that you like seeing the 40-yard dash on this turf, right, with it marked off the way it's marked off, with the timing and the timers that are there. So those type of things that are kind of universal exercise you like to see the guys do to compare. But the biggest thing is just getting them there. The general managers will tell you the physical part of it, taking the physical is a big part of it. And that's kind of how this whole thing started, getting the guys where they can, one shot, you got them all. So that's a positive.
And you think about this, the Chiefs have had tremendous success when it comes to finding talent in the draft. You go back to 2022, and that draft class, their first playoff loss was this past year in the Super Bowl. So with that said, I think that the Chiefs, they have earned reason to be trusted. They have credibility when it comes to these moments here. I have every reason to think that Andy Reid and Brett Veach are going to find what they're looking for and put the best roster they can possible on the football field and hopefully find a couple starters or maybe a few in the process throughout this draft. Speaking of the draft, who is a player the Chiefs should draft? Who comes to mind? Your chance to be on the clock and weigh in the comment section of who you believe is somebody that should end up in Kansas City this offseason. Give me a name, weigh in the comment section below, and let us know. One more for you here before we wrap up things. The Chiefs, of course, on the losing end of the Super Bowl to the Philadelphia Eagles, and a lot of comparisons being made out there. Is Howie Roseman better than Brett Veach? Is he the more elite GM? And Andy Reid, he's a guy that's worked with both Howie Roseman and with Brett Veach, his time in Philadelphia and in Kansas City. And he was asked by our own Chase Sr. about Howie Roseman, of how good he is, and he was quick to compliment Howie Roseman while at the same time deferred back to Brett Veach and how good of a job Brett Veach is doing in Kansas City. And we've seen that the Chiefs have a very good trifecta going on of Andy and Veach working together with Clark Hunt for this Chiefs team to be where they're at and become who they are. Here's more of what Andy had to say at both Roseman and Brett Veach.
Andy, you were with Howie Roseman when he was fresh out of college. What do you make of the job that he's been able to do as the general manager of the Eagles, winning the Super Bowl, and how's he grown as a player developmental guy?
Yeah, I mentioned this before the game during that week down in New Orleans that I think Howie's done a great job. It's very hard to be able to sustain over the years that that they have. So the fact that he's done that and being able to retool and bring in the quality of players that they've done, hats off to him. He's done a nice job there. Coach, and that's not taking anything away from Brett Veach. I'm not saying that. That's not. Brett's done a phenomenal job too. But he asked me about how he did.
Coach, what do you get out of coming to the
I love it from Andy Reid there. He compliments one guy, but then he still gives credit to one of his own and Brett Veach there. Appreciate you joining us here on this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. For continuing Chiefs coverage, subscribe. If you enjoyed today's show, make sure to hit that like button. We certainly would appreciate it. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. All right. Are you excited about Travis Kelce's return to the Kansas City Chiefs? You got two options here. You can type HY for hell yes, HN for hell no. Let's see. I think everybody's in agreement here. Billy's typing hell yes. Tony's typing hell yes. Oliver says, I'm so happy for Travis Kelce. Oliver, can we at least spell Kelce right, my guy? It's a C, not an S. Come on now. I'm so happy for Travis Kelce right now. Oh, my God, this is so huge. He is returning. I knew this was going to happen. Oliver, did you get a question for the mailbag? Use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat for that mailbag segment we'll be doing coming up at the end of today's show. Up next, let's talk about DK Metcalf. According to a new report, the Chiefs are interested in a trade for the Seattle Seahawks wide receiver. We'll discuss that. And then we'll do a Q&A rumors mailbag segment as well. Use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat, and we will include that in the mailbag segment in today's show. Oliver, I'm not seeing your question. Did you use hashtag Chiefs? Maybe I missed it earlier, but I'm not seeing it right now. Make sure you use hashtag Chiefs. Get those questions in for that mailbag, and we'll make sure to get you covered. Tim, get in that mailbag, man. I see. Use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat. We'll make sure you're taken care of. All right, up next, DK Metcalf. Could he be on his way to Kansas City? Let's discuss that and continue here on this live edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Tyler Jones, Big Tex here with you. Thanks for joining us. Let's go ahead and get started with our second segment right now. According to a new report, the Kansas City Chiefs are interested in a trade for Seattle Seahawks wide receiver DK Metcalf. On this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report, we will get you the latest update on a potential trade for the Pro Bowl receiver, and we will react to this possibility. Does it make sense for the Chiefs to bring in DK? We'll discuss that and more coming up in just a bit. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. We are wrapping up the month of February here on the channel. It has been an awesome month here on the Chiefs Report despite the Super Bowl loss. And I want to end the month on a high note. I would love to set our subs record for the month of February. The most subs we've had on a single video this month is 107. Not bad, but I know we can do better than that. Let's get 150 subs off today's show. We're bringing you live shows each and every week. Daily news and rumors, sometimes 2 and 3 videos a day. We also, here at the Chiefs Report, are talking everything you need to know when it comes to trades, draft, free agency, and more. Subscribe now for free, youtube.com/ChiefsTV. To subscribe now, you'll be glad you did. Tell all your friends, make sure they subscribe as well, and we'll get started with today's show. Could DK Metcalf be on his way to Kansas City? According to a new report, the Chiefs are interested in a trade for the Seahawks wide receiver, and this comes as Seattle's trying to figure some things out when it comes to their future, whether they're going to get an extension done with Geno Smith. Can they afford to keep DK Metcalf? Do they want to after the breakout year from their rookie Jackson Smith-Njigba, who outperformed DK Metcalf this year? And they don't have a great salary cap situation in Seattle as well. So could they move on from him, and could Kansas City be the team he ultimately ends up with? KC Chiefs on SI wrote the following: there is a belief around the NFL that the Chiefs could be making calls to check the temperature with Seattle regarding a potential trade for Seahawk wide receiver DK Metcalf. The Chiefs have 4 draft picks within the first 3 rounds of the 2025 NFL Draft, and Metcalf is on the last year of a 3-year, $72 million extension. Personally, I'm a big DK Metcalf fan. I love me some DK Metcalf, and I'll say this: I may know a thing or two about him. If you know, you know. I'm very familiar with DK Metcalf and what he's done, and followed his career and time in the NFL in Seattle very, very closely. So if anyone knows anything about DK Metcalf, it's yours truly. I'm a big fan of his. I think he would be a great fit on this Kansas City Chiefs team and would add a whole nother element to the offense that's different from Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce. I think it would be awesome to have him in this Kansas City Chiefs offense. The problem is not so much the capital that it would cost to bring in a guy like DK Metcalf in his talent level. It is the price tag. It is not going to be cheap to pay DK Metcalf the final year of his current contract, but then also extending him to keep him around, because you're not looking to make a trade like this for just a rental of sorts. His cap hit going into next year is close to $32 million. If you were to extend him, then you would be looking at a price tag of about 3 years, $76.5 million, according to Spotrac. And with that said, of the extension, that would likely lower his cap hit for this upcoming season. But nonetheless, you can get a trade without giving up a ton, because the wide receiver market has dwindled when it comes to the price tag. A guy like DK a couple years ago, if you wanted to trade for him, it would have cost you a first-round pick. His production is nearly the same that it was a couple years ago. He is a little bit older, but it's not going to cost you much in draft picks as it would have, but it will cost you more in money. Should the Chiefs trade for DK Metcalf? It's our pinned comment today. You got 2 options here. Type T for trade, P for pass. Weigh in the comments section and let us know if they should make a trade for him or not. Before we go any further in today's show, let's tell you about our sponsor. That is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. Join over 10 million users and sign up today. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even have to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. And on Prize Picks right now, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this basketball season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks, whether it's fantasy points in football, maybe it's rebounds in basketball, goals in hockey, all sorts of different categories to choose from. And I'm already looking ahead to the start of the football season. We mentioned DK, whether he's in a Hawks uniform or he's here in Kansas City, I think he's going to go for over 1,000 yards. I got Patrick Mahomes to also go for more than 27.5 passing touchdowns as well. If I put $20 down and both those hit, that turns into $60 on Prize Picks. Play along with me. PrizePicks.com/CLS, promo code CLS. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Now, when I look at DK, this is a guy who I think would thrive alongside Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. And you think about the quarterbacks that he's dealt with. Geno Smith is okay. He's not great. You had Russell Wilson, who was just kind of the same thing, okay, but not great. He has not played with a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes. I would think that DK's play could elevate a whole nother level. And another element with the vertical threat that he brings, it could be a cheat code for this Chiefs offense. And it'd just be one of those things where you just have to chill out for a little bit. Like, whoa, okay, like this is something, right? DK, former second-round pick out of Ole Miss, two-time Pro Bowler, second-team All-Pro in 2020. And he had the most receiving yards in a single season in Seahawks history back in 2020 with 1,303. He also holds the Seahawks franchise record for most 50-plus receiving touchdowns, 50-plus yards. He also holds the Seahawks franchise record for most multi-touchdown games in a row as well. And you look at his stats, he has been very consistent. The Seahawks have gone through a lot of changes, moving on from Pete Carroll to Mike McDonald, moving on from Russell Wilson to Geno Smith. But the one constant for Seattle has been DK, who gets nearly 1,000 yards every season and has been dynamic, getting somewhere between 12 and 15 yards of reception every time he takes the football field. What I'm looking at is, because the Chiefs don't have a fifth-round pick this year, giving up a fifth-round pick next year on top of the 63rd overall pick in exchange for DK Metcalf. Now, I don't know if Seattle's going to trade DK Metcalf. I honestly, if you were to put a gun to my head, I would lean towards they're not going to trade DK Metcalf. I think they are going to extend him. But this might be as good of an offer as they are going to get if they do end up trading DK Metcalf. And let's be honest here. There was a point in time where the Chiefs had a chance to have DK Metcalf for themselves in the NFL draft just a few years ago. Brett Veach, as good as he's been, arguably the best GM in the entire NFL over the last several seasons, this was one where he missed, where they could have had DK Metcalf, and it ultimately did not work out. He passed on DK, and that's something that he's lived to regret. Brett Veach said this not too long ago on DK Metcalf. Sometimes you don't take guys, and fans do the mock drafts, and they go through them years later and are like, we should have taken this guy or that guy. I think looking back on DK, there were areas that we weren't sure on, but there were none maybe that we should have prompted us to bypass. I think that's one player that sticks out. Well, Veach, here's your shot at redemption. This could be redemption time for the Kansas City Chiefs to potentially make up for the mistake of not drafting DK Metcalf when they had the opportunity to do so a couple of years ago. And you might be overhauling your wide receiver room in 2025 to begin with. Hollywood Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, McCole Hardman, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Justin Watson are all going to be free agents this offseason. Who's coming back? That all remains to be seen. But I'll tell you this, DK, he's far better than any of those 5 receivers we just mentioned. All right? You would be a lot better off with DK than you would be with any of those 5. He would cost you more, and you'd have to trade for him. But with that said, I think it could be worth your while. Think about this, all right? The receiving core that involves DK, Xavier Worthy, coming off a very good rookie season, and Rashee Rice coming back from injury. That's a dream. Some would call it a 3-letter word dream. I'll leave it at that for the kids at home watching. I love the idea. Who's stopping that offense at that point? Travis Kelce and Noah Gray are also involved there. Pacheco's back. Potentially get some help in that running game. I'm all in. If Seattle does end up shopping DK Metcalf, I'm raising my hand loud and clear and said, bring him. Bring him to Kansas City. You can have a lot of fun with DK Metcalf there. Who's a wide receiver the Chiefs should bring back? Of those 5 names we talked about that are set to hit free agency, who comes to mind that you would like to see return to the Kansas City Chiefs in 2025? Give me a name in the comments section below. For continuing Chiefs coverage, subscribe now to the Kansas City Chiefs Report for the latest happenings of your favorite team all offseason long. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time. All right. One more segment to go. We'll get to our mailbag coming up next, but we want to know, should the Chiefs trade for DK Metcalf? Type T for trade, P for pass. Deshaun says T for trade. Billy says T for trade. Deshaun says, I love this trade. Tony says, I'm all in. Make the trade happen. What do you guys think? Weigh in. Let us know if they should make this trade or not. Chime in that comment section. Up next is our mailbag. Tex, how we doing on questions? Okay, so we need about 2 more at least. I need about 2 more questions. Schultz, why don't you get in that mailbag? Give me 2 questions, and we can start this final segment. Use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat to get on the mailbag portion of today's show. And it'll be our final segment before we wrap up and call it a day. Hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat. Tony, you are in the mailbag. There's one from Tim. I need one more. One more, then we can get this thing started. Use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat. And let's get one more question, and then we can get this started. 30 seconds. Don't make me wait. Tony's quick to remind everybody. Don't make me wait. I just need one more question, and then we can start this final segment here on today's show. And let's see. Like Oliver, that's a good comment, but you didn't use hashtag Chiefs. Guillermo, get a question in. Use hashtag Chiefs. I need one more question. One more question, and then we can get this mailbag started. That's all I'm asking for. Final segment, and then we'll wrap things up. I just need one more question, and then we'll do our final segment here. Hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat to get on the mailbag. Maybe you want to talk about DK. Maybe you want to talk about Trey Smith, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, whatever it may be. I just need one more question, and then we can do our final segment. Oliver, you didn't use hashtag Chiefs. Come on, Oliver. I'm making life easy for y'all. You send in a question, you get on screen, you get your message out there with your avatar and your name out there. I just need you to use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat. I need one more question. I'm not asking much. I just need one question, and then we can start today's show. Like Little Cortez, great question, but you didn't use hashtag Chiefs. How many times I have to tell y'all? Hashtag Chiefs. For goodness sakes, people. Little Cortez, great question, but you didn't use hashtag Chiefs. All right. Little Cortez, I'm waiting for you. I am waiting for you to use hashtag Chiefs with your question, and then we'll start the mailbag segment. There we go. There we go, little Cortez. Now we're good to go. Our poll question right now, 76% of you want DK Metcalf. 24% say no when it comes to DK Metcalf. I'm curious what the 24% out there of why they don't want DK Metcalf, what their reasoning is on that. All right, here we go. Mailbag time, final segment. And then we'll wrap up and we'll call it a day here on this live edition of the Chiefs Report. Appreciate y'all being here with us. Let's get after it with our final segment. And then we'll wrap up after that. Here we go. Mailbag time here on the Chiefs Report. Keep sending in your questions as we go through this mailbag. Use hashtag Chiefs Super Chat, and we'll go from there. Here we go. Final segment starts right now. It is mailbag time here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, you got questions. You're in luck because I got answers. We're talking everything from free agency, draft, trades, all sorts of ideas out there. We will answer them. And I've already taken a little bit of a sneak peek in the mailbag this week. I've seen stuff on Davante Adams, Von Miller, a few other guys. We'll answer all your questions in just a moment. You may be wondering, how can I be a part of your next mailbag segment? Well, folks, all you got to do is subscribe and turn on notifications. Be a part of what we call the Noti Gang. Those are the folks that are notified when we have new content here on the channel, whether it's our daily news and rumors, our live shows, our mailbags. We do these mailbags live on Tuesdays, folks. So if you subscribe and turn on notifications, you'll be the first to know when we have new content on the channel. So subscribe now. Join the Noti Gang. If you're part of that Noti Gang, spam Noti Gang in the comments section, and we'll get started with today's show. Casey Kingdom writes in, could you see the Chiefs trade for Davante Adams? So this is funny, Casey Kingdom, because if you would have asked me this question a few months ago when he was with the Raiders, I would have said no chance, right? There was no way in hell that the Raiders were going to trade Davante Adams to the Kansas City Chiefs of all teams. But now that he's with the New York Jets, and the Jets have had their share of problems, and they are looking to unload and, kind of start this rebuild. Sounds like Davante Adams is going to be looking for a new home. I think that it's certainly possible that Davante Adams could end up in Kansas City when it's all said and done. The Chiefs have some salary cap issues to figure out. They obviously need to find some solutions on the offensive line, specifically at left tackle and the guard spot. But Davante Adams, I don't think it's going to cost you an arm and a leg when it comes to draft capital. You think about it, the Jets, they gave up, like a third or fourth round pick, and he still had over 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. I would think they'd be looking for something similar in compensation. If that's all it takes, by all means, sign me up. Let's bring Davante Adams to Kansas City. I think it's a great idea. Should the Chiefs trade for Davante Adams? It is our pinned comment today. You got two options here. Type T for trade, P for pass. Weigh in the comments section. Let us know if you think the Chiefs should trade for Davante Adams or not. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. You choose 2 or more players on any given category. Get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking fantasy points in football, rebounds in basketball, goals in hockey, all sorts of different categories to choose from. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money on sports action. Join over 10 million users and sign up today. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this basketball season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. I'm already looking ahead on Prize Picks, folks, to the start of the football season. I'm going to go with DK Metcalf to have more than 999.5 receiving yards. Maybe he does it in a Chiefs uniform, potentially. Also go with Patrick Mahomes to have more than 27.5 passing touchdowns. If I put $20 down and both those hit. That turns into $60 on Prize Picks. Play along with me, prizepicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Prize Picks, you can win up to 1,000 times your money right now. Check them out. You'll be glad you did. Prize Picks, glad to have them on board with us here on today's show. Chiefs fan for life writes in, what about bringing Von Miller to the Chiefs? So all indications are that Von Miller is likely to be released from the Buffalo Bills, as we saw that this Buffalo Bills team obviously lost in the AFC Championship to the Chiefs. Von Miller doesn't look like the same player that he used to be, that he's taken a step back. Honestly, I think Von Miller is washed, if we're going to be frank. I think he's had a brilliant career. I think he's going to be a first-ballot Hall of Famer someday, but I don't think he has much left to offer. And if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, I think you can do better. If you're looking for pass rush options, I think you can do better than going for an old guy like Von Miller at this point in time. I think the game has passed him by. I am so glad that he's not in the division anymore. I still have nightmares at times about what he did with the Denver Broncos and wreaking havoc with that team. But I just think those days are gone with Von Miller. Even for a cheap contract, I can't imagine him bringing a whole lot to the table at this point. I mean, sure, he had 6 sacks last season, but the year before that, he didn't have a single sack. So I'm kind of out on the idea of Von Miller, but we'll see. Maybe Spags feels differently. Should the Chiefs bring in Von Miller? You got 2 options here. Type Y for yes. Type in for no. Weigh in. Let us know if you think the Chiefs should bring in Von Miller or not. Tim writes in, bring back Hollywood and Juju. You know, I don't think they're going to cost you a ton. I think Hollywood's more likely to come back than Juju is. We saw a small sample size with Hollywood. I like what he did at the end of the regular season, but he didn't do much in the postseason. Juju, for that matter, had the great game. I think it was against the Saints, where he had over 100 receiving yards. He came through in one of the games late in the season in the playoffs. I don't think he would cost you a ton himself. But if you make me choose between one of the two, I'd rather have Hollywood back than I would Juju. But I think there's a pretty good chance that each of them could be back. I would say that Hollywood and Juju, probably decent chance they're back. Watson, probably a decent chance he's back. I'd be very surprised at this point if DeAndre Hopkins is going to return to Kansas City. I think that's one where the Chiefs felt disappointed that they didn't get necessarily their return on what they were hoping for when they made that trade for DeAndre Hopkins, but we shall see. Tony writes in, I'm glad Travis Kelce has played another year. I'm not expecting Travis to play as he used to, but I think he's got some juice in the tank. Tony, I'm with you. Is he the same player that he was a couple of years ago? Certainly not. But he's still one of the very best in the National Football League. I think what you have to do if you're the Kansas City Chiefs when it comes to Travis Kelce at this point is you have to change the offense. All right? He can still be a focal point, but he can't be the focal point of this offense anymore. You got to find ways to get Xavier Worthy more involved, Rashee Rice more involved, and less dependence on Travis Kelce. Because we've seen just too many teams are effective with the double team and taking him away. And there's times that he looks really good and times where he kind of just fades into the distance. I can't have him be the primary option. I think he can still be effective, and I still think that he can be a pivotal part of this offense. But I don't think he can be the key focal point. And that's okay, quite frankly, at this point in his career. I think it's still better to have him there than not have him there as far as that goes. Thanks for the question, Tony. Billy writes in, what do you think the Chiefs should do about the O-line? I think they probably go with a veteran at the left tackle spot, like a Ronnie Stanley or a Cam Robinson. And then the right guard spot, assuming that Trey Smith is gone, I think that's a guy they draft. Maybe Kingsley slides over to the right guard position potentially. Maybe you end up drafting a guy like Tyler Booker or something. But that would be what I would expect the Chiefs do is that they spend money at left tackle, and they probably go younger at the right guard spot to try to get this offensive line where it needs to be. Tony writes in, there's so many draft targets that I like. The guy that I want most mathematicians, Golden Imagine, Golden Worthy, working side by side. I think he's saying Matthew Golden from Texas. I don't think he meant mathematicians. I'm picking up what you're laying down there, Tony. I would like to see that man. Like I said, there's so many others as well. Matthew Golden, I'll say this. If you pair him up with Xavier Worthy, former teammates at the University of Texas, totally different receivers. All right? And they would complement each other. I think they would be a nice fit potentially together, but I don't know if you're wanting to use a high pick on the receiver spot. I don't know if that's priority in this draft when you got to take care of that offensive line, but you might not have the offensive line options you're potentially looking for picking at 31. Samuel writes in, who is the best Chiefs player right now on the roster? Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, that guy, 15. Patrick Mahomes. Joe Tooney won the team MVP award. He had a very good year, but it's still 15. He's the most talented quarterback I've ever seen. Sure, his numbers haven't been as good the last couple of seasons, but I think there's some other factors when you look at the receiving core and offensive line issues, but it is still Patrick Mahomes is that guy. Last question from Tim. Tim wants to know, DK yes, Davante Adams no. I think Davante Adams is better than DK Metcalf, but DK Metcalf is younger than Davante Adams. And I think DK might cost more than Davante Adams in the trade market. They both would be very expensive contract-wise, but I would take either one. I'd be happy with either player, quite frankly. But DK or Davante Adams, that's a tough call. I think that's my answer. I'd be happy with either one. If they bring either one in, we'll see. I would be surprised, but it's not impossible. You can never say never on these things. Appreciate you joining us here on this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. For the latest happenings on your Kansas City Chiefs all offseason long, you got to be subscribed to the channel and make sure and join us for our next mailbag segment. Subscribe now for free. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. All right. There you have it, folks. Appreciate you being here with us. More coverage from the Combine on the channel coming up throughout the week and continuing updates, so stay tuned for that. For Big Tex, I'm Tyler Jones. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you next time. So long.